Okay, welcome back to Shutters Planing. I'm here with Norman. So as you can see, we have a big old spaghetti mess on here. Starting to get everything wired up. Once I get everything where it needs to be, then I will bind the wires and all of that. I decided to keep it a cruiser after all, instead of completely bobbing it out, but it's still going to be stripped down a lot. We got a new starter in place down here. I had pulled to test my neutral switch, and apparently on a 96 engine it also lets the oil out, so got the oil pan under there because it made a mess. And so yeah, so we got our new switch in. So we're gonna put, this will be the new start button, and then probably the radiator fan. This is on off. This is a momentary, but this is an on off. And then we've got our signals, and then this here will become my skull light, which you will understand when we get to that point. So one step at a time, getting closer. We've got our regulator hooked up, our battery, fuse box. I ordered a new CDI box, one of the 6-pin Chinese ones, for my igniter. So hopefully that'll work. I don't know. We'll find out. I mean, basically it's just got to send the signal to the coils to tell them to fire in the correct timing. So hopefully it works. We'll find out. I watched a lot of videos that showed people using it on all kinds of different things. So we will see how that goes. One step at a time. Alright, so next, even though the CDI box is not here yet, let me find my, here, I did buy the plugs with the wires coming out because it has the, plugs on the CDI box. So I can still go ahead and get them wired. And so then tomorrow when the box gets here, all I have to do is plug it in. So that's what we're going to do next. So far we just have the starter solenoid, and that is the signal relay. So we've cut out a lot. To start with anyway, I'm not going to have the boo-boo light sensors or anything like that. The only gauge I will have is a fuel gauge, which we'll get into that later. Yes, that is correct. I'm not going to have a speedo, and the reason why is because I always use my phone, and both ways and Google tell me how fast I'm going more accurately. So I'm just going to go off that because I always am running my phone. So really all I need to do is make sure I have a way to charge my phone, and that's easy peasy. So, alright, so let's work on getting these stator wires hooked up. Excuse me, CDI. I say stator because I know 2 of them hook up to the stator. But let's get those wires in place and go from there. And then we also can hook up our switches because I already ran, as you can see, the cable. So we'll get all that connected. I have everything labeled of what I cut it for. Some of it's going to be too long because I didn't realize how long the cable from the switch was. So I really might not even need but a very short segment of this for my front turn signals and things like that. All the stuff that hooks up here. And then, let's see. That's the signal. Power in. But, oh, this red one there is going to be for my headlight. the thicker black one is going to be for the ignition. And let's see. This is for the signals, and then this, I believe, is for the skull. Yeah, the dark purple is for powering the skull, because the headlight I got has a skull in the center, and the skull can light up different colors. So this is the neutral sensor, if I can get it to focus. Alright, so that's what the wires connect to. And then this is the part inside the engine. So when it's in neutral, it pushes that in. But the spring is worn out on it. It should be out further, but it's like barely sticking out. So, because I was doing a test with it in and I wasn't getting continuity with my meter, with the way that it showed to do it. And so I pulled it out, and I think that's why it's not making contact, because that got worn out. So I'm going to pull the one from Norman's original motor and see if it's worn out. And if not, it's like a $10 to $15 part. So okay, so it doesn't look pretty, but I got everything wired up except for a few of the extra perks plus the blinkers. But I screwed up here, and we're going to go ahead and show how I did. So when we turn the key, I should have headlight to show I have power, because I wired it directly to power. But then, so we're like, alright, check the battery. The battery's good. So then we check the fuse box to see if it's got power, but it doesn't have power. So then we narrowed it down to our starter relay, which has no power on that side, and then the other side does. So if you look, I've got the fuse box and the regulator, which is the white wire, wired up to the wrong side. So we got to switch, can't see, there you go, that from that side to the other side, and then try again. Well, that's a simple little mistake I made, because nobody ever pointed out in all of the videos that I watched, all of the forums. So I wanted to point it out to y'all to make sure that when you do hook up the regulator in the fuse box or junction box, that you hook it up to the power side, because the other side don't get power until you start it. So we're gonna do that real quick, and don't worry about my mess of wires once we get this figured out. And then we're gonna do a test start on it. Well, we'll do a test crank, and then we'll put a little bit of fuel in and do a test start to see if she'll run. And once she runs, then I'll finish wiring up and clean up all my wiring, get my turn signals hooked up, and then a few little perks that I have on my headlight. But that's where we're at this point. Okay, so we connected our white to our white wire going down to our regulator, and we got the wire from our switch down to here. Well, we still, you know, we were hitting the button, it still wasn't working, and I was about to lose my damn mind. But now we found out that we actually, the first time I did it and everything was wired wrong, not only did I blow the fuse in the starter solenoid, but I also burnt up my button. So because we skipped it and came down here and just wired them together. So let me show you if I can do this. So we turn our key on, and then I just bump it.
From the wire. Yeah, just click the switch.
I'm trying to with one hand. Here we go. Try not to shock myself. And shot it out. But yeah, as you can see, we got that connection done now. So we're going to cut all this out, and we're just going to connect this straight to the key switch, because it does have a a forward start like a car. So this is going to be my start button. Okay, I have figured it out. I made a mess of it because I thought maybe my coils were bad. So, but okay, where to start? First off, down here, I had misunderstood and didn't know these were grounds. So I got that grounded. Okay, then the other thing was, what was it? Let's see, white. Yeah. Okay, so up here, you got power here coming in from this. Now this, I originally had here, but I went ahead and hooked it directly up to the switch because it doesn't need a fuse, and this is also the way it's supposed to be. It would still get power either way, not a big deal. But that actually was not the issue. The issue was, okay, because I have to have 2 CDI boxes, so that's what got me a little bit confused. But I had watched this one guy that told me, well, that told everybody with a chart that the power went on the top when it actually goes on the bottom. So let me take this other CDI to kind of show you, because that's basically what comes out of the little black box versions, okay? So originally I was told this top right, when it's actually your power comes in from your switch, from your key switch or your fuse box to the bottom right on a DC. On a DC CDI box, one of the 6-pin Chinese ones, okay? That is extremely important. Other than that, like, there's really no point to 6 pins because you've got on the left here goes to your pickup coil, the top left, and nothing, you can ground stuff there, but you don't have to. The actual ground is on this 4-pin is the bottom right, and then the top right, let me see, the top right goes to your up to your coils, okay? And then again, and nothing in the top, there's no point to that, and you just put the power in the bottom right. So that's how you hook up one of these, whether it's this style or whether it's that box style, as long as it's DC. Now, as far as AC, I'm not even going to pretend to know. From what I saw, it was very similar. The main thing was is that went to, and I should have guessed this from the start because the bottom right on an AC goes to the pickup coil in your alternator, and so it didn't make sense to me that they were saying to put the DC in the top because, yeah, I understand it's battery, but then the power should still go to the same, right? So I should have caught that sooner, but we have spark here, and let me see if I can show you. Let me get so you can see it light up. All right, push that in there. Let's see if I can. I don't have enough hands for this. Let's see if I can pin it with my knees so I can use my other hand. All right, now watch that light up. Now we got spark. So there we go. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and put the newer coil back on because I did test the other side, which still has the newer, and it sparked up. So I'm going to take the old one back off, put the new one back on, get it back in place, clean up these wires, and then see if we can put some fuel in here. I had attempted that before, but and see if we can get it to run for a few seconds until it runs out of the little bit of fuel I give it. So, yay, we are progressing. We are now officially further than we were at the end of our, year of messing with Norman with the other engine and all the other shit, so here we are. I feel vindicated in my decision making of doing this wiring myself. I probably didn't need to put the whole new engine. I probably could have done this with the other engine, but I was at the point where it was like, you know what? Let's just swap it all out, So that's where we are, and next I will show you the cleaned up and we'll do a test start. Okay, so I started getting the wiring cleaned up and in line. Let me walk over here so you can see what I've done. Started to get it cleaned up a little bit. So we've got those bound up that run to our coils over here. And then on this side, I have these bound up that come out there, and I'll get that cleaned up too. I still gotta hook up all my different lights and accessories that I was gonna do. Sorry, my camera keeps cutting off on me. So anyway, so like I was saying, I gotta get that all hooked up to my lights and accessories. But I will show her start in the next video. She does start. But before I end this video, I'm going to show it's not really a schematic, I guess you could call it that. But this is for a key switch start. So it starts just like a car. So first turn, you just click it over, and that's accessories. That gives power to everything. But then you keep going, and you just like, just like a car. So key start switch with this DC CDI. And this is for dual 6-pin, but you could do this with 4-pin as well, because honestly, in the end, it only ended up using 4 pins, and I'm fixing to show you that. But, alright, so everything's not really color-coded per se, but just follow along. So you have your starter, which is up in the front there. It connects with one of the really heavy gauge wires to the starter solenoid, and then the other side, and this is where it's got a little nut that you screw down on it to hold it in place, and the other one goes to the battery, the positive side of the battery, and then you're also going to bring a secondary one that goes to your key switch, and I'll get to that later. But so you're going to run 2 off of that one. One to the battery, and one's eventually going to go to your key switch, and then you do your ground off the battery. But keep your ground unhooked until the end so you don't end up like frying anything. Okay, then you also have, if you have a start solenoid relay that is like mine that has the fuse, the 30 amp fuse built into it, it will also have 3 wires. Now mine were, well, multicolored, but the main colors were red, white, and black. So black is your ground. So you're going to ground that either to the battery, or you can ground that to the grounds on the fuse box if you're using the same kind of fuse box I am. White goes to your regulator on port 6, so right there on port 6. And then red goes to your key switch on the third one, which we'll get to, which is over here. Let me show the back of the key switch. You're going to have where you hook up your battery, your accessories, so everything you want to have power just by clicking it over to give it power. So I did my junction box off of this, but also a few other things, and I'll get to that. And then number 3 is in place of your push button start, because you want it to start, like a car. So that's where your key switch start goes. Instead of this going to your switch button, it's going to go to your number 3 on the back of your key switch, if you've got the 3. If it's more than 3, don't ask me, I don't know. Because I know you can use pretty much any key switch with this. So, and then, okay, off of that one that comes off your relay that goes to your key switch, it's gonna Y off of that. You're gonna basically do a Y. One goes to your key switch and the other one is gonna go to your regulator in port 5. So your start relay is 6 and your key switch one goes to 5. Okay. Now it's kind of redundant. So your regulator, these top 3, 1, 2, 3, all go to your stator. So they can be any color, but all 3 are going to be the same color. That goes to your stator. Mine were yellow. So all 3 yellow went to the regulator, 1, 2, 3. Now I use that to mark because it's like, well, which way 1, 2, 3 could be, depending on how it's turned. Where, like, if you had a plug for the 6-pin regulator, if you had a plug, that's where it would latch to. So based off of where it would latch to, turn it that way, and then you'll see 1, 2, 3. Number 4 is ground. 5 goes to the key switch right there. And then 6 goes to your start, the red one. Or I'm sorry, your white one. And it is all white on mine. These are red and something and black and something, but this is all white. And that goes to number 6. That's going to put power into your regulator. So, moving on, we showed the stator. Those wires go to the regulator because they're sending that power to the regulator, which is going to turn it to DC and send it on up. And then you have, mine had 2 ignition coils, and this is something I could not find anything. So if you have 2 ignition coils, you can use 1 CDI. Everybody's got 2, not everybody, but most people have 2 of your ignition coils. You don't have to have 2 CDI boxes if you have 2 coils, but if you have 2 pickup coils, you've got to use 2 CDI boxes because of the timing. You can't pigtail them together on one line and put them in the same place on your CDI box because the timing has to be different. So it might run, but it's going to run crappy. So, they're like $10 each. So, let's back it up. For your pickup coils, it comes off your stator. You're going to have 2 grounds, and they're going to be like the same color. They might even be tied and linked together when they come off the plug. Mine were blue, like a really light blue and black. So pickup coil A is going to go to CDI A in the spot 1. Your pickup coils always go to spot 1 on the 4-plug side. So the top left. And then pickup coil B will go to number 1 on CDI B. Okay. Then your ignition coils are going to go to 2. So since you have 2 CDIs because you have 2 pickup coils, you can go ahead and separate them and put 1 on 2 on A and then the other on 2 on B. And then, let's see, and then the other side of your coils, and they might be bound together. I thought they were grounds, but they're not really. You want to send those to the fuse box power if you're using the same type of fuse box as me, which if you didn't notice, if you watched the video earlier, you'll be able to, I'll show you kind of a layout of it as well. It's pretty cool. So just a recap of the back of the key switch start. If you wanted to turn over like a car and not use the start button, this is how, B is for battery. Your start solenoid relay goes there. Anything you want to have power when you turn it, all your accessories, you can, I put my fuse box off there, and also CDI 5. So then 3, is where your start relay wire goes. And that's your white one. Wait. No, sorry, red one. Your red one. Okay. So that's a quick for a dual 6-pin DC CDI setup when you're wiring it yourself with a key switch start. So it starts like a car. And really quick here, I'll show you. I've got, this is kind of a layout of the fuse box I bought. It has one power in, and then it's got 6 spots where you can attach stuff to, and it'll send power out to those things, and it's got the fuses. And then you've got 6 ground spots. So this is just how I hooked mine up. And then you also have a main ground there, and that's gonna go either to your frame or to your battery. So there you have it. Stay tuned, because from here we get to start making her pretty. We're gonna get all of our lights in place and our wires, you know, finalized in place and cleaned up and everything. We're gonna start putting more stuff on, and eventually we will get to the painting. Now, when I get to the tank, before I can paint or anything, it is the only tank that fits this frame I have to stick with. It's the original tank, and it is fuel injected. So I've got to strip all that out of the inside of it, and because it's got the built-in pump. Now you can leave your fuel level gauge, your float, you know, that can stay, but all the fuel pump stuff needs to come out, because it is going to be too powerful for a carburetor setup without a regulator. If you keep that, you've got to get a fuel regulator. I just don't have room in this frame for it. Everything's kind of packed in there. There's nowhere to really kind of do that. And originally, the other bike that I pulled all these guts out of, it did have a external fuel pump the output is set for carburetors. However, I'm going to try to just stick with, you know, old-fashioned gravity and see how that goes. And if it's not working too well, then I'll go ahead and add the fuel pump on. But that's, you know, another set of wires I have to add. And also, I have to figure out where to mount it and all that stuff. So I'm going to try without it first. But once we get all that situated, I do need to pull the tires and I'm putting different wheels and tires from the old bike on here, because it's actually, they're new. The wheels are newer and the tires are actually newish. Like, I don't even think they're broken yet. So we're going to switch that out. It'll also help with the profile look, because it's a 19-inch tire in the front, skinnier. And we'll also use the front fender from the other one, because it's set for a skinny tire, as long as everything matches up. What else am I forgetting? I got to put my drive line in too. So I'm going to have to take the tire off anyway, so might as well kill 2 birds with 1 stone and put the other wheel and tire on. But yeah, I'm going to do some alterations aside from painting to the back fender. All that's pretty much, well, I might keep the blinkers, I don't know. I'm going to take all that off, and then I have a basic all-in-one that's actually made for a bobber with the chopped fender, but we'll see if it'll work out. I'm still might use it because I like that it's all-in-one, and that leaves me a lot of real estate, so to speak, on my fender for my paint job, because it's not going to be boring. You're going to want to stay tuned. And then we'll get our headlight in place, and our I got some pretty pimp turn signals for the front as well. We've got our pipes. I mean, we got so much still to do, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching. If you got any questions, put it in the comments. I try to do good at responding in a somewhat timely fashion. And yeah, so like, comment, share, and subscribe so that you can see the next segments and you'll get alerts as they're posted. All right, thank y'all for joining Shutter's Planing, and we'll see you next time.